The morning sun filtered through the dense foliage, casting patterns of light and shadow on the forest floor. Birds chirped melodiously, their songs echoing through the serene monastery where the Buddha and his disciples resided. Ananda approached the Buddha, his face lined with concern, and bowed respectfully before speaking. "Master," Ananda began, his voice trembling slightly, "I find myself burdened by discord with my colleague, Nanda, in our daily duties." The Buddha observed Ananda with calm and compassionate eyes, silently encouraging him to continue. Ananda's words spilled forth, the weight of his frustration evident in his tone. "Nanda's ways differ from mine," Ananda confessed. "His manner is abrasive, and his presence disrupts my peace. I am unable to focus." The Buddha gestured for Ananda to sit beside him beneath the ancient Bodhi tree, whose roots reached deep into the earth. The disciple complied, his unease gradually easing under the sheltering presence of his teacher. "My dear Ananda," the Buddha began, his voice as soothing as the rustling leaves above, "listen to the tale I shall share." The Buddha's gaze lifted to the canopy of leaves, as though drawing wisdom from nature itself. Before he spoke, there once lived a merchant in a bustling village. Known for his sharp intellect and exceptional bargaining skills, the Buddha narrated. This merchant had a trusted assistant, who was diligent but lacked the merchant's sharpness and precision in dealings. Ananda listened intently, the vivid imagery of the Buddha's words painting the scene in his mind. One day, the assistant made an error in accounting, leading to a financial loss for the merchant. The Buddha continued. The merchant, angered by this mistake, scolded the assistant harshly, unable to see beyond his own frustration. Ananda nodded, the story resonating with his own feelings of resentment toward Nanda. The assistant, feeling humiliated, sought to prove his worth by working harder and being more attentive to his tasks, the Buddha said. His effort did not go unnoticed by the merchant, who gradually softened and saw the assistant's sincerity and determination. The Buddha paused, allowing the weight of his words to settle before he continued. One evening, the merchant's business faced an unexpected crisis, the Buddha recounted. A shipment of goods was delayed, threatening the trust of their clients and the reputation of their trade. Ananda leaned closer, drawn into the narrative as though he were present in the merchant's world. The assistant, despite the merchant's earlier rebukes, stepped forward with a solution, the Buddha said. He offered to personally travel through the night to ensure the goods reached their destination on time. The Buddha's voice carried a sense of admiration, his story underscoring the depth of human resilience and dedication. The merchant, moved by the assistant's unwavering commitment, realized his own short-sightedness and humbled himself in gratitude, the Buddha concluded. From that day, the two worked together with mutual respect, their bond strengthened by understanding and forgiveness. Silence enveloped the space as the Buddha allowed Ananda to reflect on the tale. "Master," Ananda finally spoke, his tone contemplative, "do you mean to suggest that I, too, must see beyond Nanda's flaws?" The Buddha nodded gently, his serene demeanor unwavering, and replied, "Indeed, Ananda, acceptance is the seed from which harmony blossoms." Nurtured by patience and compassion, Ananda's brow furrowed as he considered the Buddha's words. "But Master," he said, "what if Nanda's actions continue to create discord? How can I find peace amidst such turbulence?" The Buddha smiled, his gaze unwavering as he prepared to address Ananda's concern. "My dear disciple," the Buddha said, his voice imbued with timeless wisdom, "consider the nature of the lotus flower." Ananda tilted his head slightly, awaiting the insight that he knew would follow from this familiar metaphor. The Buddha gestured toward a nearby pond where lotus flowers floated serenely on the water's surface. The lotus, though rooted in the mud, rises above the murky waters to bloom in pristine beauty, the Buddha explained. It neither resents the mud nor the water but embraces its environment as part of its journey to growth. Ananda's expression softened as the analogy began to resonate within his heart. In the same way, the Buddha continued, you must rise above your feelings of discord. Seeing Nanda as a teacher in disguise, Ananda blinked, absorbing the idea that his colleague's challenging behavior could offer opportunities for self-reflection and growth. The Buddha placed a hand lightly on Ananda's shoulder, a gesture of reassurance. Acceptance does not mean condoning harm, the Buddha clarified, his tone steady. Rather, it means understanding the source of another's actions. Ananda nodded slowly, realizing that Nanda's abrasiveness might stem from struggles he himself had not witnessed. The Buddha's wisdom illuminated a path to empathy and reconciliation. Master, Ananda said, his voice tinged with newfound resolve, I shall endeavor to see Nanda with compassion and to approach him with understanding. The Buddha's smile deepened, his disciples' willingness to embrace the teachings filling him with quiet joy. The sound of the breeze through the leaves seemed to echo their unspoken bond. Ananda bowed deeply, his heart lighter than it had been when he first approached the Buddha. The teachings he had received beneath the Bodhi tree would guide him not only in his relationship with Nanda but in all aspects of his life. The Buddha watched as Ananda departed, his steps purposeful and filled with hope. The forest monastery returned to its tranquil rhythm, the rustle of leaves and the chirping of birds continuing their timeless symphony. The Buddha sat in meditative stillness, his presence a beacon of peace and wisdom in an ever-changing world. Worth is not assigned by others. It is the essence of your intention and the authenticity of your effort. The disciples gathered closer, their curiosity ignited by the exchange. Yet, the residue of discord with Nanda lingered, clouding his peace. Ananda approached the Buddha once more, bowing deeply before speaking. Master, Ananda began, his voice hesitant yet determined. I have tried to embrace Nanda's nature, yet discontent still stirs within me. The Buddha regarded Ananda with eyes that reflected deep understanding, encouraging him to continue with an unspoken gesture. Nanda's manner remains sharp, and his actions provoke irritation, Ananda confessed. Despite my efforts, peace eludes my mind. The Buddha invited Ananda to sit beside him, motioning toward the smooth stones beneath the Bodhi tree's expansive canopy. My dear Ananda, the Buddha said, his voice steady as flowing water, I shall share with you another story. The Buddha closed his eyes briefly, gathering wisdom like the roots of the tree beneath them drew sustenance. Long ago, there was a young potter known for his beautiful creations, which captured the hearts of the villagers. The Buddha began. The potter shaped his clay with care, infusing his pieces with both function and artistry. Ananda listened attentively, envisioning the potter's diligent work. One day, a new apprentice joined the potter's workshop, eager to learn yet inexperienced and clumsy. The Buddha continued. The apprentice broke several pots during his first days, much to the frustration of the potter. Ananda's shoulders tensed as he imagined the scene. Resonating with the potter's feelings, the potter's irritation grew, and he scolded the apprentice harshly for his mistakes. Unable to contain his anger, the Buddha said. The apprentice, feeling demoralized, struggled to improve, his nervousness leading to even more errors. Ananda felt a pang of empathy for the apprentice, connecting his experience with Nanda to the tale. The potter's wife, observing the situation, approached her husband with wisdom. The Buddha continued. She said, a pot grows strong only when the hands that shape it are patient and gentle. The Buddha paused, allowing the weight of the wife's advice to resonate with Ananda. Her words led the potter to reflect. and he approached the apprentice with a kinder attitude and constructive guidance, the Buddha said. As weeks passed, the apprentice's skills improved, his newfound confidence blossoming under the potter's patient mentorship. The Buddha's voice carried the lesson of transformation born from understanding and compassion. Eventually, the apprentice crafted his own beautiful pots, contributing to the workshop's success and earning the potter's admiration, the Buddha concluded. Their bond strengthened, becoming one of mutual respect and trust. Ananda bowed his head, the story's wisdom settling into his heart like seeds in fertile soil. Master, Ananda finally said, I understand your teaching, yet I struggle with my own reactions to Nanda's behavior. The Buddha smiled, his gaze steady as he prepared to address Ananda's inner turmoil. My dear disciple, the Buddha said, do you recall the river that flows near the monastery? Its waters clear and serene? Ananda nodded, a vivid image of the gentle stream emerging in his mind. When the river meets obstacles like stones, it does not resist but flows around them with grace and persistence, the Buddha explained. It adapts to its environment, carrying its essence forward without disruption. Ananda's expression softened, the analogy illuminating a path to inner calm and flexibility. In the same way, the Buddha continued, you must flow around Nanda's sharpness, remaining true to your purpose without resistance. Ananda tilted his head slightly, considering the idea of maintaining his peace regardless of external challenges. Acceptance is not a passive state, the Buddha clarified, but an active practice of embracing what is, while choosing how to respond. Ananda's brow furrowed as he absorbed the depth of this teaching, realizing the power of mindful actions amidst discord. Master, Ananda said, his voice tinged with determination, I shall strive to flow with the current of my circumstances and embrace patience in my reactions. The Buddha's smile deepened, his disciples' resolve bringing a quiet sense of fulfillment. The forest monastery hummed with tranquility as the Buddha and Ananda sat in meditative silence, the rustle of leaves surrounding them. Another day passed, and the teachings continued to ripple through Ananda's thoughts, guiding his journey toward harmony. Another day, the monastery hummed with activity, its serene grounds bustling with disciples tending to their daily tasks. Ananda, now more composed, felt the weight of his heart lifting, yet he still sought further clarity from the Buddha. Bowing deeply, Ananda approached the teacher beneath the Bodhi tree, where wisdom had blossomed countless times. Master, Ananda began, his voice steady but questioning, though peace has found me, I wonder how we can extend harmony to our entire community. The Buddha's eyes sparkled with quiet joy, hearing the deepening understanding and intentions of his disciple. He gestured for Ananda to sit beside him, their proximity a symbol of mutual respect. My dear disciple, the Buddha said, his voice flowing like a gentle stream, I shall share a story to guide you further. Ananda's attention heightened, anticipating the wisdom that often came cloaked in tales of ordinary lives and extraordinary insights. The Buddha took a breath, his gaze resting on the horizon before he began. Once, in a distant village, there lived two farmers who owned adjacent fields, the Buddha narrated, his tone measured and reflective. The farmers' fields shared a single stream, which supplied water necessary for their crops to flourish. Ananda imagined the picturesque scene of green fields and flowing water, a portrait of interdependence. One year, the rains were less generous, and the stream's flow weakened, leaving the farmers worried about their harvest. The Buddha continued. The first farmer, anxious about losing his crops, began building a small dam to secure a greater portion of the stream's water. Ananda's brow furrowed, sensing the brewing conflict in the story. The second farmer discovered this dam and grew furious, accusing the first farmer of selfishness and neglecting their shared responsibility. The Buddha said, Their arguments turned bitter, and their once friendly bond became strained and hostile. Ananda's heart sank, relating the discord to struggles he had witnessed in the monastery. The villagers, observing the tension between the farmers, felt uneasy and divided, their harmony disrupted by the growing feud. The Buddha explained. One evening, the village elder, known for his wisdom and fairness, called a meeting to address the situation. Ananda leaned closer, recognizing the elder's role as a beacon of unity in troubled times. The elder listened to both farmers, acknowledging their concerns while emphasizing the importance of shared responsibility and cooperation. The Buddha said. He proposed a solution: the farmers would work together to dig trenches and distribute the stream's water equitably. Ananda nodded, appreciating the wisdom of collective effort and compromise, though reluctant at first. The farmers agreed, recognizing that unity was the only way to save their crops and preserve peace. The Buddha continued. The trenches were dug, and the stream's water reached both fields, allowing the crops to thrive. Ananda's expression softened, his heart embracing the lesson of collaboration in the face of adversity. The villagers, inspired by the farmers' reconciliation, held a celebration, renewing their bonds of trust and unity. The Buddha concluded. Harmony returned to the village, its strength rooted in shared understanding and mutual effort. Silence settled between the Buddha and Ananda as the disciple reflected on the profound message of the tale. Master, Ananda finally said, I understand that unity begins with reconciliation. But how can we inspire others to embrace these teachings? The Buddha smiled gently, his hands resting lightly on his lap, as he prepared to guide his disciple further. My dear disciple, the Buddha said, do you recall the pond near the edge of the forest, its waters sparkling in sunlight? Ananda nodded, a vivid image of the tranquil pond emerging in his mind, its beauty often admired during his walks. The pond, though serene, depends on the steady flow of the stream that feeds it, ensuring its waters remain pure. The Buddha explained. When the stream is blocked, the pond stagnates, its clarity lost to impurities. Ananda tilted his head slightly, his mind absorbing the analogy that connected the pond to the monastery's community. In the same way, the Buddha continued, the harmony of a community depends on the flow of understanding and shared effort among its members. Ananda's eyes brightened, the teachings revealing the connection between individual actions and collective unity. To inspire others, you must be like the stream, carrying wisdom and compassion to all without discrimination. The Buddha said. Allow your actions to ripple outward, touching lives and encouraging them to embrace harmony. Ananda nodded, his resolve deepening as he realized the responsibility that accompanied his understanding. Master, Ananda said, his voice steady with determination, I shall strive to nurture the stream of harmony within our monastery and beyond. The Buddha's smile grew, his disciple's commitment bringing a quiet sense of fulfillment to the teacher's heart. The forest monastery continued its tranquil rhythm, the rustle of leaves and the soft hum of disciples echoing through its grounds. Ananda's journey of understanding blossomed under the Buddha's guidance, his actions embodying the timeless teachings shared beneath the Bodhi tree. Thank you for watching. Buddha's teachings are always with you. Subscribe to our channel and we will see you in the next video.